Realistically, there's a ton of options for Ilia Topuria, but the reality is Islam Makhachev has got to fight somebody soon, and so does Ilia Topuria. Justin Gaethje wants to fight for the belt, but Justin Gaethje really doesn't give a shit right now. I think Justin Gaethje is happy making the phenomenal amount of money that he is and just going out there and being able to be himself, walking into an octagon, living his own life, having no boss, no wife, no children, just training and fighting.
Rumored fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria is taking over the internet, with fans eagerly waiting for it to be confirmed. While there's no official announcement yet, many MMA professionals have shared their thoughts on the potential matchup. MMA legend Michael Bisping recently weighed in, stating that Topuria is capable of taking on any fighter in the lightweight division. He also pointed out that Islam must defend his title soon, and apart from Arman Tsarukyan and Topuria, Justin Gaethje is also a strong contender for a title shot.
But if he lost to them, there's a massive market opportunity lost there, because Ilia versus Islam, Ilia with the rise, Ilia still being in a lot of people's minds the featherweight champion against the lightweight champion, there's something there. And yeah, if he loses to Gaethje but then 2-3 fights later gets a shot, it's not quite the same sell. The public wouldn't be quite as still invested. So I think they're going to give him the title fight. I think Islam's going to take it.
Bisping discussed the intense competition in the lightweight division, highlighting fighters like Arman Tsarukyan, Ilia Topuria, Justin Gaethje, and Charles Oliveira, all of whom are waiting for their chance at the title. He acknowledged that each of these fighters is exceptional, but personally he wants to see Islam versus Topuria. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Bisping said, realistically, it could be any of these guys. Islam, Arman, Charles, Justin, but if I had to bet, I think we're looking at Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. He emphasized that all of these fighters have the potential to defeat Topuria. But Islam vs Topuria could be one of the biggest fights the UFC could book. Bisping also warned that if Topuria fights another top contender and loses, the UFC could miss the opportunity to schedule this highly anticipated fight.
Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. Yes, book it. Gaethje versus Tsarukyan. Book it. Whoever wins fights Makhachev. That's it right there. That's it. Topuria gets the shot. Tsarukyan, Gaethje, winner gets the title fight. We're back in line at 155. Oliveira, go down to New Orleans, fight Dustin Poirier. If you win again, you're next after that guy. There it is. That's it. Oliveira fits the bill. Oliveira is a former champion.
Michael Bisping believes that sooner or later, Islam Makhachev will accept this fight, and he is extremely excited about the potential matchup. According to Bisping, Islam must defend his title within his division, as he cannot move up until Bilal Muhammad is the welterweight champion. Bisping added, I think Islam will take the fight. Of course he wants a chance to become a two-division champion, but he'll have to wait because of Bilal. So in the meantime, he can take on Ilia Topuria, which would be an absolutely blockbuster fight. Meanwhile, UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier has proposed a solution to the lightweight division's complexities, suggesting two matchups including Islam versus Topuria for an upcoming UFC.
Topuria vacated his featherweight title, moved up to 55. So what do you think of him doing that, first of all? And second of all, if he were to get an immediate title shot, would you approve of that, or what do you make of the situation?
You know, you can't really disagree with it, because he became champion, he defended his belt, and he's just like, hey, I'm too big. I don't want to make this weight cut anymore, so I want to fight 55. I wouldn't be against him fighting for 155, especially since the UFC said they're not going to allow Arman to have his fight against.
On the other hand, Beneil Dariush supports the idea of Ilia Topuria getting an immediate title shot against Islam Makhachev. Dariush acknowledged that Topuria has only defended his title once, but he doesn't see any other lightweight fighter currently posing a strong enough challenge for Islam.
But Islam is hard to beat, you know what I mean? But I'll go with Ilia just because he's a striker like myself, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Dariush believes that if Arman Tsarukyan isn't getting a title shot, then Ilia Topuria should get the opportunity. He admitted that Charles Oliveira also deserves a shot, but many lightweight fighters are backing Topuria for the title match. Dariush stated, if Arman isn't getting the shot, then Charles Oliveira, I understand, is supposed to be the #1 contender, but Ilia has the better credentials right now. He's on an impressive winning streak, so I wouldn't say this fight is a mistake. Islam Makhachev has already defended his title twice against featherweights and doesn't want to fight another one. But Dariush believes this case is different. He explained, Makhachev didn't want to fight another 145er, but Ilia has now moved up and is officially a lightweight. He's not going back down to 145. All it takes is for Makhachev to agree, and the fight will happen. 6. Meanwhile, predictions from other pros have been pouring in. Joshua Van has picked Ilia Topuria to beat Islam Makhachev. While he acknowledges Islam's skills and dominance, he believes Topuria has a real chance to cause an upset in this potential.
Take him down. It won't be easy to get the takedown, but he will be constantly looking for takedowns. Once he gets it, he'll probably just squeeze him.
However, UFC heavyweight fighter Curtis Blades has a different perspective, backing Islam Makhachev to take down Ilia Topuria. Blades admitted that taking down Topuria won't be easy, but if Islam manages to do it, the fight will likely be over for the former featherweight champion.
I think I'm crazy, but I think Ilia can get it done.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite guys to watch right now. His distance game. I mean, if you've seen him when he was like 6 or 7-0 at Brave before the UFC, he would just take guys down and just grapple. You know, I think that was his biggest strength. That's why I'm so impressed with that guy, because for him to be as good in striking in a short amount of time, understanding the game and how he runs his offense.
Neil also believes Islam Makhachev has the upper hand, but he remains undecided, stating, I think Islam will dominate, but let's see. On the other hand, Eddie Cha, coach of Henry Cejudo, is impressed with Topuria's skills and believes he will beat Islam in a potential fight. He highlighted Topuria's grappling abilities, but praised how quickly he has developed his striking skills as well.
The Dagestani, especially when we're talking about, pound for pound, one or two best fighter in the world. So, but Ilia Topuria is something special. His boxing, his wrestling. I saw a stat last week. It was like, I don't think Ilia's thrown a single head kick or a body kick his entire.
Eddie Cha also pointed out concerns regarding size differences, as Islam is the bigger fighter and a superior grappler. Despite this, he remains confident that Topuria can pull off a victory. UFC welterweight fighter Austin Vanderford also shared his opinion, acknowledging the skill set of Dagestani fighters. While he recognizes that defeating someone like Islam will be difficult, he believes Topuria's talent should not be underestimated.
The Dagestani, especially when we're talking about, pound for pound, one or two best fighter in the world. So, but Ilia Topuria is something special. His boxing, his wrestling. I saw a stat last week. It was like, I don't think Ilia's thrown a single head kick or a body kick his entire.
Austin Vanderford predicts that the fight would be highly competitive, but he ultimately favors Ilia Topuria, citing his knockout power. He stated, Topuria is known for his knockouts, one solid hit, and he could claim the lightweight title.
Islam Makhachev, he's probably going to walk in the cage. I think he was around 180, 181. Ilia Topuria has never thrown a kick above the waist, ever in his UFC career. He's got this wide boxing stance. Obviously, there's a puncher's chance, but as soon as Islam grabs a hold of him, I think it's going to be over. You're fighting someone who's an orthodox boxer. It's not that hard to time a shot to the legs, and I'm sure Ilia is a really good grappler, really good black belt, but I think Islam's just going to be too strong, too powerful, and it's going to submit Ilia.
Oxcan Lee's competition reveals Ilia Topuria must earn his title shot. Sonnen explained that the UFC is unlikely to give Topuria a direct title shot, so he needs to beat Topuria a direct title shot. Sonnen said, Charles and Zakharukian are in contention. Charles likely won't get a title shot right away, because Ilia won't get it either, unless he proves himself first. Sonnen added that if Topuria defeats a top contender like Charles, the fight against Islam would become much bigger.
Yeah, I think Islam will be the one to, and I like Ilia, but I just think Islam is still a little bit bigger, and not a lot of people. Well, the last few opponents that Ilia Topuria have fought, none of them have wrestled him. Maybe Bryce Mitchell a little bit, but when we're talking about the wrestling pedigree between Bryce Mitchell and Islam Makhachev, I think it's a totally different game. So I think that's what's going to be the switch.
Meanwhile, Tim Welch believes that Islam Makhachev will be too strong for Ilia Topuria. He acknowledged Topuria's striking and grappling skills, but feels that Islam's dominance would allow him to retain the title.
I think Islam will be the one to, and I like Ilia, but I just think Islam is still a little bit bigger, and not a lot of people. Well, the last few opponents that Ilia Topuria have fought, none of them have wrestled him. Maybe Bryce Mitchell a little bit, but when we're talking about the wrestling pedigree between Bryce Mitchell and Islam Makhachev, I think it's a totally different game. So I think that's what's going to be the switch.
UFC bantamweight fighter Elijah Smith also predicts Islam will defend his title successfully. Smith stated, "Islam is one of the best fighters in the UFC. Topuria is talented, but he has never faced an opponent as tough as Makhachev."
But great things about Ilia's grappling and his wrestling. So if he lives up to the hype around his grappling and his wrestling, then I got to go with him 100%.
And you think he does? Do you think he can beat Islam?
Well, if the hype is real about his wrestling and his grappling and his strength that I've heard, then if I go with that as truth, then I think he.
Elijah Smith acknowledged that Topuria has defeated big names like Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, but neither of them attempted to take him down. He believes Islam's wrestling ability will make a huge difference in this fight.
Topuria go at it. Who you think wins?
Ilia Topuria may be one of my favorite guys to watch stylistically. How he doesn't force things, not getting emotional, not pushing too hard, also not taking his foot off the gas. He's just right there in the middle until he lands the big knockout punch. So I think he could catch Islam, but if that fight goes anything past 15 minutes, I think Islam beats him handedly just because Islam is a large 155er and I don't think Ilia is that big, but ton of respect.
Julian Erosa is uncertain about the outcome, but believes that if Ilia Topuria performs at his best, he has a real shot at winning. He mentioned that he has heard great things about Topuria's skills and thinks he has what it takes to challenge Makhachev.
And I would like Topuria to win, you know? He's obviously the featherweight going up, you know, and that's what my style is. Like if I'm the champ, I would like to go up to and, you know, fight the lightweight guy, you know? But yeah, I would like I'd got Topuria on that fight.
So you Dustin Poirier also praised Topuria's decision to vacate his featherweight title in pursuit of the lightweight belt. He stated, "It's a respectable move not to hold up the division. He's doing it the right way." However, Poirier expressed some concerns about Topuria's weight, mentioning that many say he walks around quite heavy.
How high do we put him on the GOAT list? Right, like to me, I'm like, John Jones is number one, no matter what. I don't think anybody could surpass John Jones for a long time. Obviously, it would take a ton, but everyone in my circle at least is like, man, if he goes and knocks out Islam after knocking out Holloway, after knocking out Volk, he's got to be up.
Michael Chandler also weighed in on this potential fight, praising Topuria's unique style and skills. However, he believes that if the fight drags on, Islam's experience will be too much for Topuria to handle. Several other fighters have also shared their thoughts. UFC flyweight Chepe Mariscal supports Topuria's decision to move up and believes he can beat Islam. Similarly, middleweight fighter Cody Brundage backs Topuria, believing he can knock out Islam and solidify his place among the UFC greats. Brundage also disagrees with the notion that Islam is the pound-for-pound best fighter, arguing that John Jones holds that title. That's all for today. What do you think about this potential fight? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates. Hit the bell icon for instant notifications on our latest videos.